G'day friends, welcome to today's video and happy Mother's Day! To all my mums out there, hope you are being spoiled rotten today, and I mean absolutely rotten. To everybody else, I hope you're having a great day reflecting on your memories and being a little nostalgic for mum or mother type figures. And yeah, to anyone else that is, like many other holidays in the year, I also want to acknowledge anyone that is struggling through today. Please take care of yourself, and please use today to just reflect on memories that bring you joy and work through that grief as well. If that is something that you are struggling with today, my heart goes out to you, and I will keep you all in my prayers for a joyous day as well, because reflecting on motherhood, even if your mum is still around, can be a difficult thing. I know I'm kind of struggling today. I've been on a bit of an emotional journey this weekend, a sentimental roller coaster, if you will, and it's not like I don't have emotions, but obviously it's not something I feel typically comfortable sharing online, just because I'm a very private person. But I think some emotion came out yesterday, and I have a feeling some more emotion would come out today. But I have a little bit of a difficult time reflecting on Mother's Day because I feel very far away from home, and I live in a different country and I haven't seen my mum for a long time now, and it's different talking on the phone than actually just sitting in your mum's presence and watching trash TV and eating chocolate. Like, we call each other and we discuss things, but it's I just feel a little homesick. That's my truth, so I'll just stick with that. And obviously, well, not obviously, I don't know if you know this, but my story is that I was raised with 3 women. So my mum, my gran, and my auntie. My mum, my mum's mum, and my mum's sister. And since my gran has passed away, Mother's Day is also a very sad time to for my mum to reflect on, so I don't take that for granted either. And the fact that Gran was there with auntie and mum and raising us at the same time, they were all a mother figure as well. So Mother's Day was like a huge thing, and it gives me like it's bittersweet for me because I really love to celebrate it and to acknowledge the incredible work that these women did. But it's also a time where I feel sad, like I feel sad in my reflections. So I don't want to discredit that, and I just want to let you know that my heart goes out to everyone else today that is feeling bittersweet about Mother's Day. So with that being said, let's just get onto some stories, I guess. Let's start with mum, and we'll work gran and auntie in, because here's the thing, I was raised by these 3 women, and they were incredibly strong, and they all had things that they were good at, and they all filled a very specific role in my life. So it was like I had 3 mother figures. Well, I had a mum, I had a gran, I had an auntie that all became like the ultimate parent. And they were incredibly strong women. I mean, they are as well, still to this day. Gran has since passed away a couple of years ago, so it is always sad to reflect on that. And it was Gran was an incredible woman who was just the life of every party. You could not pin her down. She was always doing something, always going somewhere, and that was just who she is. And auntie is just the most affectionate, the most nurturing. Auntie is the human example of unconditional love. I've never seen anything like it before in my entire life. And mum is just super hardworking and just so like vibrant, I would say. Like, if you could just describe someone as vibrant, like super strong personality, very loud, very opinionated, but also like coming into her older age, and I say older age very loosely, she's actually quite young, but her becoming a grandmother is interesting, because now I see her adopting that role that Gran kind of had as well. So I just see this ever evolving kind of idea of motherhood and what it means to be a mother to someone. And I've never taken for granted how strong these women are and everything that they've done to contribute to who I am today. And honestly, like, where would I be without it? Like, I have no idea, just sitting in a ditch somewhere. So I want to use today just to reflect on those stories. Please bear with me, because I am feeling a little bit emotional about it, and that makes me uncomfortable because this is public. So I'm going to try and just keep it all together. This means the absolute world to me. I mean, I am thankful to these women for for literally who I am. They raised me with such self-confidence and self-assurance, and this idea that it was 100% okay to be me. And this comes from a family that is quite conservative. This comes from a family that, I mean, we live in Australia, and sometimes I joke with Steve that we're still stuck in the 70s back there in some respect. So, it's not like I live with some like progressive hippy-dippy family where, like, you know, free love and we're all just allowed to be anything. You know, my family typically in the structure that it's set up would have had a problem with a lot of the way that I was, you know, playing with Barbie dolls and, you know, wearing butterfly costumes and parading around the street in my gold skates, singing Xanadu. Look, this could have been a huge problem for me, and in the end of the day, my family really showed me what it was like to be Jesus to others, to have grace and to have compassion and just to love even when you don't understand how to love, and even if you don't get it and you don't understand why, but just to show that everyone on this planet is valid and that everyone is worth being loved and accepted, even if you don't understand them. So that's something that I will never take for granted that I learned from these women, and they were such classic examples of it and still are to this day. So yeah, let's just talk a bit more about that. Speaking of gold skates, my gran was the reason I know how to sew. She was also the person that nurtured my creativity the most. She was always colouring in with me. I have a lot of journal flips with gran's work in there. She would take my drawings and photocopy them because we kept colouring the same colouring book over and over and over again. And she was so sick of it, she would ask me to draw things and she would photocopy them a bunch of times, and she'd use those as colouring ins, and she always wanted me to make a colouring in book, and I never got around to it while she was alive. So it is a project that I'm starting now. And she is also the reason, she was my stage mom for dancing. She would come to the Eisteddfods and she would have her program, and she would write down like who was wearing what costume and what she thought the score they should have had was, and inevitably I came out as the winner every time, which was really, really sweet because a lot of the times I did not deserve to be the winner in her eyes, but she was super supportive like that. But just, you know, on the same token as she could be so supportive in that way, she would also be just as nurturing for my brother, in the sense that, like, if he wanted to watch Rambo or Rocky, you know, she was always there watching it and she was really into it. She'd be outside playing cricket with him, and you know, she was literally the gran for everyone. Every grandchild loved to do something with gran, and she was always up for it and she was always ready to go. So super energetic, literally right up until the end, and I loved gran for that. And that's something that I literally see my mum stepping into now, and it's so funny to see her start adopting some of that as when, you know, she became a gran. That's a really interesting thing for me as well, because, you know, she's my mum, but I also see her being a gran to somebody else, and then I start getting jealous of my nephews because I'm like, well, I know what it was like from my gran. Which is a really great sentiment, to be jealous of my nephews for being, you know, grandmothered by my mum. I think they're very, very lucky. But yeah, so it's that. Your gran was also, she helped me make ruby slippers when I obviously needed ruby slippers when I was a little boy. We went to the op shop, or the thrift store as you call it here, and found some little heels. Mind you, I was like 7, so this is a lot. She was the one that made my my Disney princess dresses. She made my Dorothy dress. She taught me how to tie tea towels on my head so that I could be Dorothy, and yeah, she was incredible. She was really, really incredible. She also bought me some roller skates and helped me spray paint them gold so I could live my Xanadu fantasies out on the sidewalk. I used to skate down that sidewalk so often, just singing Xanadu songs. Gran was so great for all of that. She was also a swing dancer, so she would like throw me over her back and teach me how to do all of that stuff. I mean, Gran was incredible, and that definitely filtered through to her children, my aunt and my mum, in that way, as they became women that also learned how to raise children. So that's why I give them credit as well, because I mean, obviously give my mum credit on Mother's Day, but that's why I give Gran credit and Auntie credit, because we always lived together from when I was a baby. If we didn't live in the same house, we lived right next door. So we were in the townhouse next door, and we had a hole in the backyard fence cut out so that we could jump through. But also my brother and I would take the windscreen out on the second level and run across the roof tiles into Gran's room. You could just see little black footprints on her white bedspread. Yeah, Gran was really incredible, and so full of energy and life, and always had a Coke. She always had a Coke in her hand. Yeah, let's talk about Auntie. Auntie is the human version of what unconditional love looks like. Auntie is who you go to for nurturing. She used to take us out everywhere, like take us on the train to Sydney like every weekend, and take us to Luna Park and playing in Coney Island. She's who you go to if you just want to feel completely adored. And that's, I mean, that's incredible. Like, don't you all just want to feel like that? Don't we now as adults want to feel like that? Auntie is, you know, if she would just bring my brother chocolate cake, we'd get these like 90-cent cake mixes from Woolworths and just make cakes and eat them. And she was like, you know, she dotes on you. Auntie is just incredible for making you feel warm and fuzzy and nurtured and comforted, and she's so tactile and affectionate. And Auntie is the reason I can walk properly again after my accident. I mean, even like with the arthritis in her fingers, she would massage creams into my foot to make sure that the scar would heal properly. She also massaged out the scar tissue when I couldn't do it because it would get too painful. She would come with me to every physical therapy visit and just be encouraging and just keep telling me like it's going to be better, it's going to be better. And she told me that, you know, every time she goes on her walk up the mountain, she prays at the top of the mountain that everything will work out for me. And Auntie is just incredible and the most selfless human being I've ever encountered. Wow, I'm getting emotional again. I like literally have just been a mess today trying to think of just all of these stories. This is my whole life, and it's just like, how did I get so lucky? You know, like at so many points my life could have fallen apart because I'm just, you know, sitting here, some closet homosexual living in Australia, trying to make life happen, and you know, from a conservative family. And it just, I kind of make it sound dramatic, but like honestly, there's so many people that aren't as lucky as I got. And it's only as an adult now, when we do this reflection, that we really get to understand the sacrifice that it took on their part and the incredible efforts that it took for them to accept or to understand or to learn to appreciate certain things that were so against their nature. So, you know, it's just, I can't get over it. I honestly can't get over it. And my mum, let's talk about my mum. My mum is an incredibly hard worker, and if you could summarize her in one word, I'm sure it would just be vibrant. If you went onto Photoshop and slid the vibrancy all the way to the edge, my mum's a few notches further than that. She is just, I mean, she's loud, she's opinionated, she's funny, she's like a go-getter, she's super hard worker. She makes me look very, very lazy. She's full of catchphrases that really just bring you back down to earth. I mean, I think if someone could take credit for inventing the tall poppy syndrome, it's probably my mum. But she, her favorite saying is, "I'm not getting involved," which is just her way of kind of giving her 2 cents worth and then just piecing out. So if there was a problem, she'd be like, "Oh, well, I don't think what you're doing is right, but I'm not getting involved." I don't think Steve loves that I use that so much, but that's how I was raised, so I'm not taking responsibility for that. But yeah, my mum is just super hard worker. She's like the type of person that doesn't think she can't do anything. So always just kind of going in with blind faith and just figuring out that she'll either learn it or she won't, but life be in it, and you know, life goes on. Don't stress, settle Gretel. Life be in it, right said Fred, all of these expressions that my mum just says just to keep her going. And I think she's an incredible woman, and I appreciate that we have a lot of personality traits that are similar, I've been told, which I don't know if is a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know which things people are pointing out. But I do know this much. We love to go on diets, and we love to cheat on diets. So I know that's where I got it from. We also get really upset at each other when we cheat on the diet. And we hold each other more accountable than we would hold ourselves. So I think that's funny. But, fun story. One Christmas, my mum gave me a book as a joke. I would like to think it was a joke, and maybe this sounds like crazy to you people, but this is just my mum's type of humor. I was maybe 11 or 12. She's going to kill me for saying this online. I was 11 or 12, and she got me this book for Christmas. We also do funny things for Christmas and birthdays as well. Like, she'll wrap up the groceries for my birthday, and I'll just get to unwrap, like, lettuce and tomatoes and random stuff. But she'll, and like in Christmas, she'll just wrap up random things that, like, if I haven't used something in the house for a long time that belongs to me and she thinks I could like use it, she'll just rewrap it up and give it to me again. So funny things like that in gift giving. We're not like the type of family to write a list out and buy everything on that list and then be done with it. We're not formal like that. So she had wrapped up this book as a gift that said, "Mum, I feel fat." It was kind of like a book for children to, you know, like to help them on their weight loss journey, like for little kids. And I thought I'd won her up, and we went to church and they got all the kids to come up on stage and say what they got for Christmas, and I told everyone that she had bought me that book. Just to like get her back for it. And the whole congregation had to listen to how she had supplied me with that book. So I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, we love to cheat on diets together. We have, I made a little chart at home that's kind of like snakes and ladders for our diet, weight loss, and we had photos on there and neither of us made it past the first week. I thought if I made it a game, we'd be more encouraged to do it, but we both started cheating, so it is what it is, Santa. Also, my mum is the reason that I watch so much trash television. We were watching Big Brother all hours of the night when we used to live stream it from the computer that didn't have internet fast enough to live stream. So she's the reason I watch all of that. She likes to just go places. She loves to travel around the world. She's like super cultured from all around the world. And I don't know. I don't know what else I could say about Mum. She's just as incredible as Mum, as Gran and Auntie are. And all three of them I have a lifetime of stories, let's be honest, and you know, I'll keep sharing them throughout the time that I talk about my life, and I've shared a bunch before already, but you know, they each played such a pivotal role, and what they all did was so key, and I think kind of the what everyone hopes to achieve in motherhood, and that's to set your children up for a life where they feel confident and self-assured and happy and you know, even okay to fail. Like, these are the things that I feel like if I were a parent that I'd at least want, you know, if I'd kind of sucked at doing everything else, I'd hope that they left my home feeling that way. And I certainly did. So there's no amount of gratitude I could ever really show other than just living in all the freedom that I feel like they afforded me. I think that's, and then giving it back, obviously, making sure that I am just trying to be as nurturing and as encouraging and as supportive to my followers, to my viewers, as I learned, you know, as I learned myself how important that could be for my own family, for my own three incredible mother figures. So and I say figures only because I don't want to say like three mums. It was Mum, Gran and Auntie. But I also don't want to take away from Mum being my actual mum. So I don't know, it's just a super unique kind of setup. It wasn't a nuclear family, so it's kind of confusing to try and talk about and make full sense of. But yeah, I don't know. It's something that I'm really, really thankful for, and I don't take for granted that it could have gone south at any point. I mean, let's be honest, a lot of people in my situation, coming from very conservative families, could be, or typically exiled from the family for coming out, or abandoned and told that they're not wanted anymore, that there's something wrong, and until they get fixed, they can't come back. That wasn't a journey that I had to go on, and I will forever be grateful just for that. But the fact that they were encouraging and supportive, and that they wanted Steve a part of their life, and they wanted to know what was great about Steve, and that they spend the same type of energy that they did parenting me, they would give the same gifts to Steve as my partner. And I'm gonna get teary again. I don't know what's wrong with me. Like, how could you ever ask for anything more? What more could you want from mums? So I'm just gonna leave it at that before I start to go too far down the rabbit hole of my emotions. But to all the mothers out there, I just want to say thank you. You do such a thankless task. It is so incredible, the amount of work that goes being into a mother. There's literally no other job on the planet that requires as much from a human being as motherhood does, and I think it's unfortunate that we have to become adults to really see the scope of what you do, but I hope that as we do become adults, we show our appreciation in a way that really does get across the point that we're grateful. Whatever your setup was, whoever was your mum, whoever is your mother figure, I hope that today you are making sure that they feel appreciated, because it's just, I can't even wrap my head around what an incredible job it must have been to raise children as different as my brother and I, but also as crazy as me. Like, I wasn't easy. I'm still not. But I couldn't be more thankful. So I'm going to leave it at that. I hope you have a fantastic Mother's Day. And until tomorrow, thanks for listening. Thanks for letting me share my story with you. Bye.